Hello, my name is Jorge Acuña. I am the CEO of Accolade Institute Inc. and the publisher of learningformanagers.com. I'm also the author of the book Viral Leadership. And in this series, I wanted to discuss some of the topics that I think are important for leaders to take their leadership skills and make them go viral in their companies. Make sure that they can contribute by not just providing great leadership, but also cloning that, if you will, making it go viral across the organization. That way, we can enhance our productivity and get real exponential results. One of the topics in particular that I'm going to be discussing in a brief series here is that of the untapped powers behind training and development. You may have noticed in times of crisis, like we have seen recently in the last few months with COVID, and as you probably would have seen a few years back in the financial crisis of 2008 and other crises in the past, that every time it seems that we go through a crisis, an economic crisis especially, companies seem to take the perception that training and development is the department that can go first. And that is because I think that there is a very, very, very poor understanding of the real role of training and development, and they haven't used it in the strategic way that is meant to be used. And I think there's a lot of untapped potential there because the companies that behave in this way and that act in this way have not taken into consideration what benefits they could really take from a well-placed, well-planned, well-developed training and development team and strategy. So let's take a look at that for a minute here and think about what it would look like. What could it mean if I have the right learning strategy for me not to feel, not to think that this learning and development team or function or staff members are non-essential. And we're going to start with one basic subtopic here. That is the topic of upskilling and change management. What does this mean? When we use training and development and we look at that function and that department beyond just the basics, we're going to see that the idea of upskilling, the idea of taking someone from point A to point Z in their skill level, it's more than just something that the training department does for the sake of onboarding. And change management is something that we need to keep in mind in terms of what we're trying to accomplish with training and development. Training and development is really an agent of change, is really part of the tool set that I use in change management. And in times of crisis, especially, that's when these two elements come hand in hand as very critical, as very essential. In times of crisis, there are two things I need to be able to do as a leader in my company, and that is I need to be able to create quick changes, and those changes have to be changes in behavior, and I have to communicate those changes, and I have to make sure that my team implements those changes in a quick fashion in order to survive the crisis. And that's where, again, these two things, upskilling and change management, from a strategic point of view, especially during a crisis moment, becomes so critical. Now, let's see what this looks like in practice. What we have, for example, when in this screen is the typical mentality of what training and development does or is in a company, right? Normally we think of training and development as, oh, that's what we did when we onboard a new staff member. And so internally we look at it as the onboarding process and maybe some additional training that we have to provide, like compliance training or something along those lines. So some kind of HR training, some kind of compliance training, something that we have to do for certification purposes, but immediately right now is not necessarily a critical item. It's just a commodity, something that we can outsource sometimes, something that we can simply just push through. We can have managers do it. It's not necessarily a must have. That's not the way that we think of it usually. The same with our customer that is external. It could be external training that we do for our customers. And that training could entail training about our products or our services. And it's simply, we sometimes see it as an add-on benefit to the customer. You know, we already have a manual, they can read the manual, or we have our sales teams, they can walk people through things, or we have a customer service team that's what they they can do too. They can just walk people through the needs that they may have. So we don't really need a training department or training team to do things here. We don't see them as essential. They're nice to have, but not essential. And that is where, again, we're really handicapping, I think, ourselves. We're really not taking full advantage of training and development. Let's take a look at what I mean by that. If we look at the creation of training modules simply as, again, the traditional way of thinking of training and development, yes, it is not going to be essential, and yes, you probably should get rid of it. But if you're really strategic about it, if you really look at training and development as an asset, as something that is going to help you differentiate yourself from the competition so that the other people, so your customers, don't see you as a commodity that they can get rid of just as you got rid of training and development. Now we have a different mentality. So our basic training, it may be that, yes, and when we're talking about onboarding and when we're talking about bringing people on board, into or starting in a new position in our company, yes, that we still have those basic needs. We have to identify what are the basic things that we need to have for this person to be effective and successful at their job. So that basic training is usually where we stop, though. The same happens with external customer training. We just think of it as, what do I need to give this person to be able to adopt my services or my product and start using it? I'm just going to give them the basics. This is what they need to do with this tool or with this service. I'm just going to give them that, and they can figure it out from there. So if that's all that we have to offer in training and development, and when we create our training modules, our training curriculums, then you're absolutely right. This is something that you can probably get rid of. Again, if you don't think of training as a strategic tool that you can use to develop your business. However, if we take this further, let's think about upskilling and the benefits of upskilling. What if I provide not just the first layer of training, but now I move on to a next layer of training, which is intermediate training. Let's call it intermediate training now. We can give it any other name. You probably may have other names for this. But for now, let's call it intermediate training. This intermediate training, in terms of internal training, could be the kind of training that now takes this individual from the basics of what they know into something that is going to help them become more of an expert into what they really need to know to be able to be valuable. In other words, let's say that we're talking about a customer service individual. They have worked in many call centers. They're working at a tech company. They're trying to help individuals that are working on computers, especially now that a lot of people have to go online to go to meetings. And now they may have more calls coming in from people trying to help, trying to ask for help on how to log into these remote meetings or dealing with technologies for remote work. If the individual that is providing the services doesn't really know much about networks and computers and connectivity, they may not be as successful or as helpful as someone who is. So here's where we could look at things like certifications or specific training that can help this individual be more valuable, not just to you as a company, but also to the customer overall. The same thing happens with our customers. With our customers, when they come and they buy our products or services, they often come in with one need in mind, and that's all they come for, and that's all they get out of our product. And then we realize they're going to another company, they're going to a competitor of ours for another service that we provide too, or for another product that we've always had in our catalog. And when we ask them, why did you not buy this from us? Oftentimes they'll say, oh, I didn't know your company did that. I didn't know your company, I thought your company just focused on this other need that I have, and that's what I did. So to prevent that, that's where we need to create, again, a strategy of training that allows us to do the initial training, but then we help our customer and we help our internal customers, external customers, take it to the next level of understanding of what is it that we are, what is it that we do, what is it that we have to offer. Now, what that does is that starts to put us in a position of uniqueness. It makes us now feel like, wow, this is really something where I can start building what I'm going to call here a partnership, a real partnership. So let's take a look at what happens in the next level. Now we can go into advanced training. In the terms of internal training, again, when we're talking about staff members, training staff members, if I took someone through that initial steps of certification, for example, let's say again, going back to the example of my tech worker at the call center, if now I help them go through a certification for A plus and Network plus certifications, for example, where they're more adept now at computing and computer systems and networks, and they understand all these things. Now they can provide better service to our customers, internal or external. Now this person can also become a subject matter expert, and now we can give them a path of training where they can go and specialize in the areas where we really need expertise. Now we could send this person to become a programmer, perhaps, or a quality assurance engineer, or any other direction that now can really benefit the company. The training management of this individual, again, can lead us to that point where we can really maximize the productivity of this individual. With our customers, it's the same thing. We can maximize the revenue that we can bring from this customer, because now not only have we shown them the full capabilities of our systems, but now with advanced training, we can go in and we can say, you know what, we can customize the training for you and your specific staff, and we can make it branded to you and your staff. And now what we're doing is, with this advanced training, taking it to the next level, we are building a real true partnership. We're really connecting with our internal staff and with our customers, and making it so that it's much more difficult to let go of us. And now we have highly skilled individuals internally who are more able to keep and maintain productivity even in the toughest times, or are able to figure out how to improve our processes when we have crisis moments. And with our customers, we have a relationship where it will be very difficult for them to say, you know what, things are tough now, we're going to have to let go of you, because we have entrenched ourselves so much into their functions, into their daily training, into their daily services, that now we're an essential partner to our customers. That's what the true training and what a strategic training plan looks like. When we're thinking about learning and development as a strategic tool, it becomes a wonderful weapon. It becomes a really, really powerful tool at building those relationships to this level, where really we've built a partnership that nobody can let go of. And from there, we can then go into specialty trainings or specialized relationships with our partners, be it internal or external. What this means is that now we can start developing perhaps products that are co-branded. Now we can start developing it with our customers. We can start developing synergies that weren't there before. Once again, if we have a really strategic way of thinking about training and development, it is this relationship that we've developed between the training team and the customer, alongside with our sales team, right? That doesn't mean that we let go of the sales relationship. Our sales teams are always involved here, but between the sales team and the training team, we have built this knowledge of each other, and we've developed this partnership with each other, that now we can co-create. Now we can create a very specialized type of programs that really lead us to the point of being inseparable to our customers. The same thing with internally, right? I mean, if we're creating this kind of level of training, now we've created SMEs, we created subject matter experts, and those subject matter experts are going to be incredibly powerful, incredibly knowledgeable for us to reach out to when crisis hits. If we're going through hard times at the company, we need to figure out better ways or faster ways to do business and maintain the business that we have, and weather tough times. If we need to create new tools, better ways, less costly ways, and more productive ways, these are the people that are going to give us those answers. But without a strategic plan around training and development that builds this path for them to be able to do that, we won't have it. Once again, if your training and development department is just there for basic training and you don't move beyond that, and there is not a learning strategy behind this, then yes, they're just overhead, and it makes sense why companies get rid of them. But leaders that are viral, companies with that exhibit the essence of viral leadership, that weather the worst of crisis, they know better. They plan learning and development, training and development, to be a strategic weapon against the crisis moment. And this is the way that they do it. In For now, I'm going to say thank you for attending this quick session. I'm planning to go in more detail and more in depth in this, because I think that many companies can benefit from getting a deeper understanding about how to really get this learning strategy implemented. and looking at learning as a strategy that will help me differentiate myself to my customers. So I think that this is an important topic to many people. I will continue this series, and for now, I'm just going to thank you for coming to listening to this, and I hope to see you in future sessions soon. If you have any questions, by all means, contact me directly. We'll have my contact information where I post this video, and you can direct your comments or questions to me at our website, learningformanagers.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I always welcome people to joining me on LinkedIn. You can find me by name there, Jorge Acuña, and my page name is Development for Managers within LinkedIn. I look forward to talking to you. Have a wonderful day.